welcome today. I'm Dr. Maggie Yu. I'm an integrative physician, MD, and I run a program called Transform Autoimmune Disease Naturally, which helps people turn around their autoimmune disease naturally. And today we have a guest with us, Pam, who just recently finished our 2-month online program to transform autoimmune disease naturally. And this is a huge story, and this has been big in our Facebook group. Pam has been posting some recent wins and photos with her and her family. So a lot of people have been asking for this interview. So without further ado, I want to go ahead and have Pam introduce herself. Go ahead, Pam.
So my name is Pam. I started the program because it was about November. My dog ran into me, and all of a sudden I was having hip pain and I just could not walk. And it just progressively kept getting worse. I went to a chiropractor. That sent me into tears and could not walk at all. My husband was actually carrying me from room to room, up our stairs. Anytime we had to go somewhere, I had to use my son as like a human crutch. For Christmas, they bought me a walker. I mean, it was ridiculous. I literally thought I was dying. Doctors could not pinpoint what was wrong with me. They sent me to all kinds of x-rays. All of that came back clear. Then out of the blue, my collarbone started swelling, my ankles started swelling. So finally, and I was diagnosed with AS, which is a form of arthritis. And pretty much the rheumatologist told me that my only hope was medication that could cause cancer.
Can you tell people what AS is?
So it's ankylosing spondylitis. And basically it's arthritis of your spine. It fuses. It's normally called bamboo spine because it will actually fuse your spine and you can't move. And
that's what it actually looks like on an x-ray. On an x-ray, after the spine is fused, it looks like a piece of bamboo.
Yeah. Mine really affected my SI joint, which is kind of like your hip groin area. So even when I went to the rheumatologist, he told me to bend over and I could barely touch my knees. That's as far as I could move.
So what you're saying is that prior to this point, you were feeling great. There was no hints of anything until this incident happened, or did you think there were signs?
So funny story. Probably about 2 years ago, we built a house, and in that kind of transition, we moved in with my mother-in-law, which was a stressful situation. And at that point, like I got TMJ, just like out of the blue. My neck started hurting. I ended up going to a PT for that because I couldn't move it from side to side. My toe randomly started swelling, like all of these things. And when I think back, I'm like, oh my gosh, like it's all connected. Yeah. And even before that, like, oh my goodness, probably 15 years ago, I was diagnosed with vitiligo as well. So
what we now know is an autoimmune disease, and it's an early indicator of that there are many other targets under attack. It's like you were a sitting duck waiting for more and more autoimmune diseases.
Yes.
Because what autoimmune disease is that once your immune system, it mistakes one part of your body as a germ, i.e. your skin cells, what's the likelihood it's going to start mistaking many parts of your body as a germ?
Highly likely.
100%. Therefore, nobody has just one autoimmune disease. You literally have hundreds of targets, but the problem is in diagnosis, people wait and wait and wait, and testing is so limited that honestly, in my guesstimate, less than 5% of autoimmune diseases even have a blood test for it. Yeah. So then did you even know at the time you were diagnosed with vitiligo that it was autoimmune?
No, and they told me there's really nothing they can do about it. They gave me a cream for it, but that like literally burnt my skin. So they're like, yeah, there's nothing. It's not going to hurt you. Just be careful getting sunburnt, and sent me on my way.
While you wait for more and more diagnosis to appear and symptoms to appear.
Right.
Sitting duck. And this is the typical approach that conventional medicine has for autoimmune disease.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about why. I mean, so they had a cream to give you and that's it. And if it didn't help, there was nothing else they could offer you.
Yeah.
So the conventional approach to autoimmune disease, guys, is literally medication, surgery, or nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So fast forward, you start to develop all these joint symptoms, and now you know stress can be an additional trigger. And then this trauma with the dog running into you, even a couple years later, trauma again became an additional trigger, and boom, full bloom, finally, with all these symptoms, this is life altering. You couldn't even walk.
Yeah.
You're being carried around room to room.
Yes.
And that's when you were finally diagnosed. Aha, you have AS.
Yeah.
And what were your options?
So
this wonderful diagnosis, now what?
So he told me biologics were my answer. Like, so once I started reading into it, I'm like, oh my gosh, they
mean biologics as a medication only.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. That was the only thing that he had suggested. So once I started researching it, I found that, you know, it increases your chances of cancer. And I just lost my dad to pancreatic cancer a couple of years ago, and I did not want to go down that road. Excuse me. So I'm a research nerd. So I started researching a ton of things and went back to him at my follow-up. I'm like, what about if I change my diet? He's like, yeah, you can try that. Some people find that it helps. So if you want to, we can try that before I put you on medicine. So I'm like, yeah, I really would rather do that. So again, in my research, I found you, and so thankful, probably start crying, that I did, because it's been a true blessing. Sorry. So started gluten-free, entered your program, and my life has been changed. Sorry, hold on. We just went to Legoland, and it was a 12-hour drive. And back in December, I couldn't even make it to Pennsylvania from Virginia because I couldn't sit in the car for more than 2 minutes without being in so much pain. So 12-hour drive, I rode a roller coaster with my sons, water park, went down water slides, walked the park for 3 days. And I thought for sure once we got home, I would be in, kind of in pain. No, I'm not. I'm feeling so great and so thankful. So.
Well, thank you, Pam. And thank you, Pam. And for me, like, so what you're saying is that, the symptoms were so bad that it literally impacted every aspect of your life and your family's life.
Yes. My children were like, Mom, what's wrong with you? Why can't you get out of bed? Why are you walking like that? And I'm like, I have no idea. So once I started your program, they started seeing the changes in me, and they're like, Mom, wow. You're not hanging onto the railing going down the steps, you're walking by yourself, or wow, Mom, you're walking a lot faster. And they've noticed the changes in my diet. And even my youngest son is like, Mom, I want to do that too, because I want to be strong just like you are. Oh. So it's not just impacted me, but my whole family. We're all gluten-free. My middle child, or my oldest child, is starting to do dairy free as well. My husband's doing it. He's had stomach issues like ever since I've known him. Both of my boys have ADHD, so we're trying to get them off of medicine and more natural approach too. So it's not just helped me, it's helped my entire family.
So I'm excited for you because what I can tell you is this, is that there's a whole talk that I could do on the role of family history in autoimmune disease.
Yeah.
It's not by accident that cancers are really high in autoimmune disease families. Okay, first of all, why? Because if your immune system is busy attacking, you know, your own body rather than defending your body, what's one of the biggest things your immune system is supposed to defend you against? Cancer.
Mm-hmm.
So what we find in autoimmune families is that cancer is huge. Not just autoimmunity, but cancer is huge. So it's not an accident your dad has had pancreatic cancer. It's not by accident that you have AS and vitiligo, and now both your children have ADD and ADHD. So if some of you missed the video, I did an interview with Dawn, who finished her program about a year ago, and she had severe ADD, and all her kids did. And that was one of the biggest things that people don't realize is that ADD and a lot of behavioral issues in children is actually a group of symptoms we put a name to, but a lot of it, we see a huge upsurge of that in autoimmune families.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, it's clear that it's just, these are brain targets of autoimmune attack that we don't have a blood test for yet.
Yeah.
And because we haven't identified it as an autoimmune disease, and there isn't and there's really, it's not autoimmune, doctors, because there aren't a test to diagnose it yet for that. I guarantee you in 4 or 5 years, it probably will be. And we're going to be like, oh my gosh, ADHD, that's like autoimmune attack. Mom has this, mom has that, of course. Now there's a genetic test for it. Hopefully someday. But the thing is that it's clear to me in my practice, as I was treating more and more people with autoimmune disease over the last 12 years of my career, what I found was that tons of their kids had ADD, tons of their kids have eczema, irritable bowel syndrome, and behavioral issues and autism spectrum. This is huge.
Yeah.
And so for me, it was really, it was to me, when your story with your kids is 100%, and you can attest to this, you saw other people in the program. How commonly did you see other parents say their kids have these symptoms?
A lot.
I know. And so for me, I always tell people, when you do something like this in this program, you're not just helping yourself, you're literally helping 3 generations, because your generation is an autoimmune mess. Not just you, if you have brothers and sisters, I'm telling you, it is there. If you look at the generation above you, there's an autoimmune mess, whether they know it or not. And it could be misdiagnosed as fibromyalgia, cancer, all these other things. But it's an autoimmune disease mess, the generation above you, and then the generation below you. You know, every time I see one person with autoimmune disease, they have kids, I'm very honest and I say, hey, if you have an autoimmune disease, the likelihood if you have a boy child that they're going to have is 50% at least from what I've seen. And if it's a girl child, is at least 80% from what I've seen. So it's no joke that you are killing Godzilla, the autoimmune disease in you, but you're killing Godzilla while he's an egg in your children, Pam.
Yes.
So I wouldn't be surprised as you take the concepts, testing, data, all the education you receive in this program and apply it to your children over the next 6 months to a year. We should do a re-interview on what happened to your kids' ADD and ADHD.
Yes, I can't wait, because we have spent thousands of dollars on Caleb, program after program, OT, PT, brain balance. We've tried it all. And it's just nothing. It's helped a little bit, but nothing drastic. So I am excited to see the changes in him too.
And I'm speaking from experience because I was diagnosed with ADHD as well. I did brain balance as well. I took medication for ADHD. I know this. And I have a child that was diagnosed in the autism spectrum who was also diagnosed with ADD at a certain point. So all this, and I'm autoimmune disease. So this is patterns I see over and over again, and the world and doctors completely miss it. And I feel like it's a deadly pattern to miss, because the moment that I would see a patient with vitiligo, the first thing I would do is educate them, hey, this is autoimmune. You know, you don't actually deal with turning off all the triggers of autoimmune attack now. You're just sitting duck waiting to get AS, you're waiting to get ADHD, waiting to get IBS, you're waiting to get SI joint pain. Everything is just a sitting duck waiting to happen. But that is not how our medical system is structured.
Yeah. And actually through the program, I found out that I have Hashimoto's too, which never knew. And I even asked my doctor to check my thyroid because my grandmother has hypothyroid. He's like, oh, it's fine. But through your program, my levels were like super low for my T3 and the antibodies were through the roof. And I'm like, okay, so this is why I've been falling asleep at my desk for years. This is why my hair is not as thick as it used to be when I was in high school. Like, it's explained so much.
Well, that to me is huge, because now in hindsight, now that you got the education to understand the testing, how to read these tests yourself and understand it, you actually realize that you've had autoimmunity probably most of your life.
Yeah.
You've had Hashimoto's probably your whole life and didn't even know it, with tons of symptoms just adding up, and the signs were all missed.
Yep.
So, Pam, people want to know, what's so different about this program? Why don't they just go to the doctor and ask for some autoimmune testing? Why don't they just go see a nutritionist? What's so different? Why didn't you just do that? Why didn't that work?
Because it's a whole approach. There's nothing on the planet, as you say, that looks at the whole picture. So not only was food a huge linchpin for me, I was eating oatmeal, eggs, dairy, and not even knowing that this was all causing issues with my body. So the food mapping was huge for me. Hormone imbalance, mine was cuckoo. So getting that straightened out, so it was just the whole picture. Blood sugar, I had no idea that all of that could contribute to my symptoms. And then even the mindset, just, that was a big deal for me too, just because I'm very anxious, type A person all the way. So just learning how to take breaths and take time for me. And that was a big part of my healing too, I feel.
It's really interesting. I find that nobody comes into an autoimmune disease program working with an MD and functional nutritionist thinking that we're going to be working on mindset and changing how you think.
Yeah.
Nobody thinks that's important.
Yeah.
And because I think you went through the program at the same time as Lily, right?
Yes.
So the two of you are very much similar in a lot of ways. Were you guys in the same pod even?
Yes.
And
I love Lily.
Talk about you and Lily type A in that same pod. The questions that you and Lily would submit for the mastermind coaching calls that we did together were very similar. It was always like, how many calories of this? How many cups? How many teaspoons? How many?
Yes. And I will tell you, before the program, I hated to cook. That's why I married a firefighter. I love it now because I know that I'm putting healthy, nutritious stuff not only into my body, but into my children as well. So I used to fear it, and now I really enjoy it. So
that's a huge point, because a lot of people think, based on what you just said and based on what they read on the internet, that it's all about just eliminating more and more food and getting more deprivational and being afraid of it. So I'm going to ask you, our unique system of food mapping, right now, are you depriving yourself of more and more food to get better?
No. No.
What's in fact happening?
I did find out that nightshades were huge for me through the program. But other than just staying away from my foods that came up on my food mapping, I'm able to reintroduce more foods.
So you're getting better by actually using data and then adding a ton more food back in, more and more and more.
Yeah.
It sounds like this is what has caused joy to come back in your cooking, because it's no longer a minefield. And it in fact is healing you. Eating more food based on data now is in fact healing you.
Yes. Yep.
I love that. So one of the things I say is that the longest relationship you have is with food.
Yes.
And it's and when we get sick with autoimmune disease or cancer, it's one of the quickest relationships to disintegrate into abuse and terror.
Yeah.
And so to bring back joy, love, and peace into food and cooking, and to actually pass that on to your children, what a gift.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Another thing that I always mention is I said, what's the 2 most powerful ways that you can influence your children? As a warning or as an example.
Example. Yeah.
Right. And we have the choice in that. I love that you've become an example. Your children are looking at you and saying, I want to be strong like mom. Can I eat like mom?
Yep.
Love that. Okay. So what I want to do is I want to go into a section I call soul to soul. I mean, this has been a big metamorphosis journey for you, and your life is back. So I want to ask some questions, soul to soul right now. Okay. Right now, what gets you most excited about life?
My children, my family, getting up in the morning and being able to do all the things that they enjoy doing.
Question number 2. Are you enough?
Yes. Absolutely.
Third question. If you had an opportunity to speak to 40,000 people right now, and you have a message for them, what would that message be?
If you are suffering from autoimmune or know somebody that's suffering, you have to do this program. And Maggie is not paying me. It will change your life. I can't stress it enough. It will change your life for the better. I changed my story. One of the things that you learn in the program is to rewrite your story, and I'm changing my story so that I can enjoy my children and my grandchildren. So there's hope. There's definitely hope. And nobody should have to live in pain like I was in December. It was awful. Absolutely awful. So do it. You're worth it. Yeah, the money, it's expensive, but it's worth every single penny to get my joy back.
I think that's an interesting thought. When people say it's expensive to invest in your health like this program, right?
Yeah.
Let me ask you something, like how much money did you invest in did you put into your health prior to joining our program? To not be well, to actually get sick, continue to get worse. How much money did you put into that?
Thousands.
Okay.
I was going from specialist to specialist, MRIs, CAT scans.
Yeah.
Like it was expensive.
Right. You know what's expensive? The most expensive thing you can do is actually spend money and stay sick and get worse.
Yeah.
Right.
And all they were throwing at me was medication.
Right.
And when that medication wasn't working, they were adding more medication to hide the symptoms that medication was giving me. So it was crazy. It was absolutely crazy.
Well, and I think that's an interesting mindset shift right there about what is expensive. Like if someone said to you, hey, invest this in the program and in yourself, and in 2 months, you're going to be going to Legoland with your children, you're going to be out of pain, you're going to walk. Would you say that was expensive?
No.
Right?
Yep.
And that to me is about worth.
Yes.
A lot of times if someone told you spend $6,000, spend $8,000, spend $5,000 on brain balance for Caleb, you'd be like, okay, right? But I think as people with autoimmune disease ourselves and mothers, we think that spending any sort of amount on ourselves is expensive and not worthwhile.
Yes. Yeah, I struggled. It was my husband's like, just do it. I'm like, but we could be spending the money on X, Y, and Z. He's like, no, you need to do this. And I'm so grateful I had his support and encouragement to do this, because I would not be doing what I'm doing today if I hadn't, for sure.
Is your life and your children's life and your husband's life worth what you have invested in this program?
Absolutely.
Is it expensive?
No. Not when you put it that way.
I know, but that's the mindset shift. And I had to make that on myself, because me as a doctor myself, when I came down with autoimmunity, 10 years of symptoms and no one could even diagnose it. Until I was like debilitated and forced to, I didn't think it was worthwhile to spend money on looking at alternative ways.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like, oh, that's not covered by insurance, or they didn't pay me to learn that in medical school. Why did I invest like several years, tens of thousands of dollars, by this time, hundreds of thousands of dollars in educating myself to do this? I mean, I'm ashamed to say I'm ashamed to admit that the biggest reason was became the fight of my life. And until it became the fight of my life and I didn't have a choice, I didn't do it.
Yeah.
And my children suffered and I suffered, right? So for me, like, the sooner that you can get yourself, and, you know, don't do what I do. Don't wait 10 years and then spend $100,000, $200,000 over the next 10 years trying to figure this shit out. Like, like literally cut through the BS and learn it from somebody who already did it.
Yeah.
2 months.
Yes, totally. And I'm the same way. I hate doctors. I rarely go, but this, I could not ignore it. And I thought I was heading towards my deathbed. It was awful.
Okay. One last question. For somebody, I mean, you went through the process of learning about us and working with us. And so there's a lot of fear involved. And so my question is, if for somebody out there that doesn't know jack about our program or me, what do you think is the best first step, easiest way for them just to get started in getting to know us and just learning more about our program? How do we make this stupidly simple for people to do?
I definitely feel like joining the Facebook page and watching the videos, reaching out. I actually watched a video with a person that had similar symptoms as me, and I just messaged him and asked him a few questions. Tyler, yes.
People have messaged
he was very gracious to answer my questions, and he's like, you've got to do this. Like, there's no doubt in my mind she can help you. And I'm like, okay, this is it. We're doing it. So
I love that, because the thing is that I do one of these interviews every single week. So we have a huge bank of alumni interviews that we've done to show people, real results, real outcomes that go through our program. And our alumni are very generous in terms of the fact that they are being tagged on these videos. People have private messaged them. And so a lot of times people on the internet, you know, people think, oh, it can't be real, you know. And the thing is, I love the fact that our alumni have been so gracious that when people PM them, they just like, yep, you know, and you can see their Facebook profile and they're real. And you know what I say, it's not real till you post it all the time. Yeah. So for me, our alumni are always posting like crazy, and people PM them as well. So yeah. A lot of, we just did a Facebook post, and people just PM the hell out of you.
Yes. Yeah, I've actually talked to probably 4 or 5 people just privately on Facebook answering their questions. And I love it. I love helping people and giving people hope. So
thank you, Pam. You are a beacon of light and hope. And honestly, seeing some of your posts with you and your kids, like at the pool and at Lake of Land.
Yes.
Your husband sent me a picture of you in a wheelchair in December.
Oh my gosh, do not show that picture.
You know what though? I understand why you say that, but at the same time, when I see that and I see you now, do you even understand how much hope and how inspiring that is for people?
Yeah. My neighbor actually was over yesterday and she's having issues and she's like, oh my God, Pam, I can't believe the change in you. I was so worried. She's like, the color is back in your face. You look so healthy. And I've had quite a few people, my mom who rarely sees me, she's like, oh my gosh, Pam, you look so much better. So just, hearing that, reaffirming how I'm feeling by what people are seeing, it's just amazing.
Thank you, Pam.
Welcome.
For anybody who's watching right now, this is not easy for Pam to do. Give her
No.
a heart, give her a thumbs up, give her a wow face, because she is the consummate type A introvert.
Yes.
And there was a lot of arm twisting with so many people from the Facebook group asking for us to interview her that she agreed to do this interview. But I also feel like it's become a calling for you.
Yeah.
To actually to show other people you've been through and to be helpful.
Yes.
I love it. Okay, and for those of you who want to learn more about our program, you can go to drmaggieyu.com and watch our free training, or you can schedule a call with us. And on the same page, you can schedule and book a call with us. We love to get to know you and talk to you more, to learn more about you, to see if this is a good fit for us and you. So thanks a lot, Pam, and enjoy, everybody. And if you've enjoyed this, share this video, post in the comment section anybody else you think should watch it.
Lupus, lung fibrosis,
Hashimoto thyroiditis,
Fibromyalgia, AS, which is a form of arthritis.
Epstein-Barr, extremely fatigued.
pretty much zero joint pain.
Much more happy.
I don't have brain fog anymore. How much weight I have lost. I want to see remission. Maggie and her approach is very different than the traditional doctor.
I'm a totally different person.
I got a better understanding of what those intolerances were.
You're not alone.
The community is, I'm learning from everyone else's issues.
It's not just helped me, it's helped my entire family.
We are transformed.
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 Join the movement and transform your autoimmune naturally today.